Hey, it's Corey from Fuel Your Photos, and in this video I want to give you some tips on writing titles for your blog posts. So in this spreadsheet, which I will provide a link to in the description, you have some formulas for your normal content. So the posts that feature the work that you are doing, either your wedding work or your other work. I'm giving you some templates so that you can simply replace the variables here and get a title that should be really close to what you need to use for those for SEO and for readability. So you can see some examples here, and just keep in mind these don't have to be exact. You don't have to follow the formula to a T, but use this to get you started and get your ideas going. One thing I will say is don't try to be too cute with your titles. I know a lot of people are using like little curly brackets and dashes and fancy separators and all that kind of stuff. If that kind of stuff fits into the same space and you can be consistent with it, it's okay, but try to be careful. And one other tip that I'll give you here that I haven't written here, but I may go ahead and add it, is be careful with your spacing. So if you, say for example that you have this separator here, but you don't have a space between the separator and the J, then you could be making this all one word so that Google doesn't realize that this word is Jennifer, but thinks that it is Pipe Jennifer, and that is a different word. So just be careful that you're always using correct spacing, and I'll talk about that a little more here in just a second. So these formulas should help you with your regular blog content. Let me go ahead and give you a few tips about writing your posts, and then I'll show you these resources. So tips: if you use 57 characters, your title will fit 91% of the time, according to Moz and a survey that they did in 2016. Usually you can fit up to, I usually get up to 65 characters in most of my titles. But sometimes it's like 60. It just depends, because Google is actually cutting it off based on the pixel width at the exact font size that they're using. I have a tool down here, and we'll talk about that again in a second. But 57 characters is kind of the magic number that fits most of the time. Blog posts don't need to use your main keywords in every single title. So you don't, if your keyword is like wedding photographers in Columbia, South Carolina, or Columbia wedding photographers, notice I didn't use Columbia wedding photographers in any of these titles. That would probably be in the title of my homepage and maybe even a few other pages on my site, but it's not going to need to be in every single blog post. It doesn't mean you can never use it, but typically that your blog post is not going to show up for a head term like that, especially not your main keyword. Your blog posts don't have to include a location in every title. Now notice that in most of these I do include a location, but it is not absolutely necessary, and I'll talk about that again here in a second as well. Look at popular wedding magazine blogs for inspiration. So I included this link here, which is a list of wedding blogs. And one tip that you can do, one trick I guess, is if you go to a URL and then put site : right in front of the URL, and then put a space and then put a keyword like wedding, you can actually see a list of their titles or their posts that are about weddings. And so you can get some really good inspiration on how to write catchy titles, because usually these magazines spend a lot of time thinking about how they write their titles. So things like all the proof you need that retro weddings are the best weddings, brunch wedding ideas and inspiration, 1,000+ fabulous lesbian wedding ideas and inspiration. So things like this, when you see these patterns, 1,000+, 1,000+, you know, maybe you have 7+, you don't have 1,000, but putting that plus and a number at the beginning is a tried and true tactic that is working. I know that just from other research, but you know, you can find those little things by looking at this kind of inspiration, you know, and just getting extra words that you may not have thought about. Outdoor wedding venues, we talked about that in the last video. Ideas and decorations, people who have zero money, you know, not talking about cheap or affordable, but saying it in a different way that might grab someone's attention when they see it in a search result. And you know, even things like this: engaged and confused, wedding planning basics 101. It's like this wasn't necessarily part of the the keywords that they're targeting necessarily, but it was catchy, and they knew that whenever this showed up in a search or somewhere on social media, that this would grab someone's attention, especially if they were confused and engaged. So there's a lot of things you can learn. This is just one example and just the top of the list. I mean, you can see that this goes on and on and on and on, and many pages of it. And so you could do that with any of these and get lots of ideas for how to title your blog posts. If you know you're going to be moving, use your location sparingly. So I've worked with a lot of SEO clients lately who they're either in the military or they just know they're going to be moving, and whenever they move, they ask how to go back and update old posts that had their old location, and it's very difficult to do that on a large number of posts, and it can often be damaging to the establishment of your site. If you think you're going to be moving in the future, I would say go for titles that have location-specific titles less frequently. If you have something that's going to be very popular or a destination, it's okay to use it once in a while. I would definitely say don't use locations in your permalinks if you know you're going to be moving, because those are the hardest thing to change. You can always go back and update your titles, but it would be really hard to go back and update all of your URLs. So then use Search Console to find alternate ways that people search for venue names. This kind of goes back to the last video. I'll link to that here in just a minute. But you can go into Search Console and you can find a page that's doing well for a certain venue, if you have any, and you could see like there's multiple different ways that people are searching for that. And so if you have multiple posts at the same venue, you can use some of these different variations in the titles so that you can kind of catch other variations as people type them. A couple of resources for you. Check your title length. There's a tool right here that allows you to type in title and get the length in pixels, and that tool you want to stick around 570 pixels. I've seen that it kind of gets cut off after that, even though it says you have up to 600. Different tools measure pixels a little bit differently, but on that one it's around 570. You get tips on making your titles more appealing with this tool. So the CoSchedule Headline Analyzer is a great tool that gives you lots of different, I'll just show you really quickly. Here it has, you can type in any headline. So let's actually just copy one here, and we'll take, where's that one that was engaged and confused? We'll just take this piece of it, and we'll paste that in here and analyze it. And it will give you a score, and it will tell you other things that you might try and things that might make it better. It'll give you a preview of what it might look like in a search engine. It'll tell you the sentiment and the keywords and lots of other things. So this is a great tool for analyzing your headlines. And then title capitalization is a great tool, and all you do is just paste in your title, and if you didn't capitalize it correctly, it will automatically correct it for you. Great little tool. So those are just a few quick tips on writing titles for your blog post. Now this is slightly different than writing titles for the main pages on your site, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. This was specifically about writing titles for your blog post. If you have any questions, head on over to the Facebook group and just search for this post or this video. I'll probably be posting it in the group and also on YouTube. You find this on YouTube, just head over to the group and do a search for blog post titles, and leave some comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. All right, talk to you again soon.